we will start with, so this first part is just the project, and I took for you guys and copied and pasted the instructions that we'll be going over on the first slide. When you guys do this in the future, if you get ahead of time, I did set up Zoom lessons for each one of these projects that we will have kind of at the end, right before it's due, that we can all go through and do them together if you guys want. But if you guys do get ahead and want to work on the projects before we have the Zoom lessons, you can kind of recreate this in Google Slides. I used Canva before because I'm just really proficient in Canva. But Google Slides might be easier for you guys. So the first thing that I just did is took the instructions from the Schools PLP site and copied it to the first slide. So I don't have to keep going back to Schools PLP and back and forth. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new project in Photoshop. So I'm going to go to Photoshop. So you should have this basic screen. It shouldn't look like this. This is just, you'll have your recent documents down here. First thing we're going to do is to create a new document. Is we're going to go to New File. And that'll pull up this new document window. So here you'll have these recent items that you had recently opened before. This is where it's kind of confusing, is you might be like, where is the A4 size? Like, I don't see it anywhere. So you have some saved ones that you did. And then you can scroll through here, and this is different styles of new documents. Since there's so many different ways that you could create like a document for mobile, for video, for film, for web, for print, they kind of made these tabs to make it a lot easier. And then a cool thing down here is also, if you click through these tabs, they also have these cool templates that you could use if you want to start. So we're just going to start with a blank document, and we're looking for something that's going to be A4 size document. Is a document that would be something that you would print. A4 is kind of what they use in Europe, in most countries except for America. So it's a print document. So you're going to go over to the print tab here. And you can see here's A4. So we're going to select on A4. And then the second part of this is that we want it to be orientation as landscape. So over here, we have a lot of different presets. This is our width. You don't have to change this, but we normally deal in inches in America. So I just changed that to inches so you can see what the size is. But over here, we have the orientation. So this is portrait, which is up and down, and then landscape, which is sideways. And that's what we want ours to look like. So here we have number one done. We've created a new project in Photoshop, or we're going to start to create a new project in Photoshop. And we have it selected as A4, and we have the orientation as landscape. So now I'm going to take a screenshot. So Leilani, you won't be able to do this. Cameron, do you know how to take screenshots?
I don't know how to do it on a Mac because I use Windows for the rest of my schoolwork.
Okay, so for a Mac, you're going to hit Command.
Yep.
And then Shift, and then the number 4. And you'll get, can you see my screen? It has this like target on it.
Oh, yeah.
So that target, if you drag and hold, I'm just going to do this whole window so I can see. So I'm going up to the top of, like, if you just have this little, you can go from the new document here. It'll kind of drag out, and this is going to just take part of your screen.
Okay, I got it.
And then where it saves it, it just depends on your computer.
Okay.
You're going to go over to your slides and then go to, this is number 1. So I have number 1 up here. And here I can click on the image. And if I right click on it, I can go to replace image down here. And then I can go to upload from computer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're going to want to find that screenshot. Oh, this looks like the correct one. Okay, so did it put that screenshot inside of that box?
Okay.
Okay, did that do that for you, Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, good. But as long as like you kind of have the screenshot up, in there, I can kind of like, I know where to look at. So you don't really have to move these if you don't want to.
Okay.
So I'll be able to see them. So we have number 1 done. So let's go to number 2. So we're going to go back to Photoshop. So we're going to do a new preset. So we're going to do basically a new file, but we want this to be just, we have a size that we want that isn't one of these preset sizes that we already have. So we're going to click on this custom here, and then we're going to change everything here in this preset details over on the side. So we want this to be 9 by 13. So in the width, I'm going to change 9, and this is inches. So if you don't have this on inches, if it's on something else, like let's say you had it on the millimeters like it was before, you can change this to inches. And then we're going to want this to be 13 for height. And we want it landscape. So you'll notice when I click on the landscape button, it switches those numbers around. So we have actually 13 by 9 for a thing. And then we want to change the background color to a different number. So down here, we have color mode is RGB, which RGB is usually used for screen images. There's also grayscale, which is just black and white. CMYK is used for print, and then the lab and bitmap are rarely used. So we're going to keep that at RGB. Click on that if it's not already selected. Down here, we can change our build for background contents to make it those values that it has. So you're going to click on this box, depending on what color it is on your screen, and it'll pull up this window. And here we can type in our numbers. So you can see the different color values. I know it's a lot of stuff going on, but we just want to look for our RGB, which is down here. And we can change these values here to the numbers that we have. So it's going to be 255. And the second number that we want is 255. And our third number that we have is 153. It's going to be like a yellow background. So once we have that kind of yellowy background, we're going to click on OK. And then we want to save this as, so like, let's say we're going to use this preset a lot. We want to save this so that we don't have to keep typing that in every time. We can go to this preset that it has. So where it says this preset, where it says Untitled 1 here, you can just rename this demo, and then 9 by 13. And then when you have that completed, you can do another, so that completes everything. So once we hit create, this will save everything. So actually, the final step that we're going to do to save this is click on this button here, and then save preset. And then that'll come over here into a saved presets that we have. That's our final step. Once we have that, we can do another screenshot. So again, Shift Command 4 will bring up that kind of crosshair, and then you can save that screenshot. And then we'll go back to our slides presentation and go to number 2. We're working on question 2 here. And again, we can right click on this image and hit replace image and upload. And so here again, you don't really have to move these around if you don't want to. For students that are watching this on the Zoom, it might be a little bit easier to move these around that are watching this recorded Zoom. Sorry. So I can kind of be like, A shows me what it looks like, where it is. So up here, I have my saved, which is the final thing that we have. A is going to be our size, our landscape, and then the second part is going to be the color that we have. And if we go back up here, we can see I've kind of marked those. So A is our document size, 9x13. B is the landscape mode. C is the background color, and D is the demo. So I actually need one more. All right, does that make sense so far, Cameron and Leilani?
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to number
Yeah.
3. So number 3 is we're gonna kind of take a screenshot of our general what it looks like, and then mark what our different panels are. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I can hit create here, and this will just bring up my screen that we had. So here, what we are going to want to have is our panels, which are over here. It might look a little bit different. Yours might look a little bit than mine. There's a lot of different ways you can move stuff around as I have undocked my panels. Sorry, just ignore what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get my panel docked back over here. So I've actually moved my layers panel off. So your layers panel is probably going to be down here at the bottom. And this is where it's kind of that when it talks about the different ways that you can really customize your workspace to how it's going to work best for you. But first we need to know what the different parts of it is. So we have our screenshot, whatever it looks like for yours. It might look slightly different. But just take a screenshot of what your whole workspace looks like. So again, I'm going to hit Command-Shift-4 for Mac. And I'm going to take a screenshot of this whole workspace, everything that's in Photoshop.
I accidentally got rid of my color swatches, the stuff on the right side, and I don't know how to get it back.
Okay, so go up to Window,
Yeah.
and then if you click on color, it should pop back up.
Oh, yes, thank you.
No problem. All right, so we're going to go back. So we have our whole workspace. So we're just going to, part number 3 is just to kind of label everything. So I'm going to go back. All right, hello, Peyton. Peyton has joined us. So I'm glad you guys were both able to join us. So Peyton, you can kind of just, your sister can catch you up. This is also videotaping. So you can go back and she can help you out with what we did before. So we're on number 3 of the project right now. So here's number 3. So I'm just going to put the whole window into here. Again, I'm just going to replace the image. And so I have this whole window. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. So in Canva, it was a lot easier to draw arrows and stuff. I don't know if I can draw an arrow. Oh, I have an arrow here. I don't use slides too much. So this will be interesting to see how it comes off. So the first thing that we want is the toolbar or the tool panel. So our toolbar is this thing over here. And this has all the tools that we can use when we're using Photoshop. So if I go back over here, this kind of has a list. It might be easier to like, if you can keep going back to refer to it or print it out. So here's number one toolbar, tool panels. I'm just gonna move the A over here. And I'm just gonna kind of draw an arrow pointing towards it as best as I can. And you guys can do it as best as you can. It doesn't have to be like perfect or beautiful or anything. Just so I kind of know that you kind of know where each one is. So you'll learn more about the toolbar or the tool panel. You can make it have two next to each other, which usually is what I prefer. All right, the next one is our panels or panel groups. So our panel or panel groups are the ones, all these over here. So this is whatever tool we're using over here kind of has a toolbar stuff that is associated over here. Or this is different ways we can adjust the layers. It just has a million different things. As I kind of showed earlier, if you go up to the window, I go back to Photoshop here. You can see if I go under window, this is how, as I was showing Cameron how to bring that color back up. These are all different windows that you can have over on this side. And you'll kind of, as you work in Photoshop, learn to take some of them out and kind of adjust your workspace to make it look how you want. So over here, this is all of our panels. So I'm just going to draw kind of an arrow pointing right over there. That looks good. All right, next is C is our document window. So our document window is the document that we're working on. So that's this big thing here. So that's where you're working on anything. It's called your document window. So I'll just draw an arrow to this kind of window in here. Next is our document tabs. So our document tabs is, depending on how big or small your screen is you'll have these tabs that are up here. I'll go to Photoshop. So this is my tab here. If I have another document open, you don't have to do this. I'm just kind of showing you. Your tabs will be up here and you can tab between documents. So those are document tabs, kind of just the same way you have tabs in like a browser. I'll draw my arrow towards that tab. Next is our menu bar. So the menu bar I didn't actually save. This is when I took the photo. This is your menu bar up here. If you can see my mouse, where everything is, the file, edit, image, layer. If you have your Photoshop in full screen, like this, it would be right at the top. So this is going to be your menu bar. Just like any other program, your menu bar is right at the top. So if you took your screen capture like mine, you just draw an arrow going up, up towards its up, it would be up here. And then finally is our options bar. So our options bar, to make it a little bit easier to see, I'll go back to Photoshop. This is our options bar here. Whenever you click on a different tool, your options bar is going to change depending on what your tool is. So you'll notice I'm clicking on different tools and everything up here kind of changes depending on what the tool is. So that's where you'll click on your tool and then you can adjust your tool easily using your options bar at the top here. Let's draw my arrow towards that options bar there. All right, how's everyone doing so far?
Good.
Good, all right.
Yep.
All right, number 4 is make the changes to your workspace and then take your screenshots. So we're going to want to open 2 documents in Photoshop. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. We're going to close this one out. This is kind of Cameron, did you download the apples and mountain files?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so if you know where those are, we can open both of those up. So to open up a file in Photoshop, just like any other program kind of, is you go to File and then Open. And then you're going to find where you saved those. If you hold down Shift, or on a Mac, it's Command. On Windows, I think it's the Window key. You can select them both and it'll open both of them at the same time. I'm going to open both my apples and my mountains. So here you can undock your files too. So if you grab if it opens up like this, it should have, so you have your tabs. So here's our document tabs. You can click between. If you want, you can grab this tag and pull it out and it will take it out of that kind of screen. Kind of like the same way you use a browser, you would pull like a tab out. And then if you want to work with something next to each other, you can bring them both out and then just kind of readjust the sizes. So you can't work on both documents at the same time, but you can have it kind of, you can see what the other one looks like. So that's part A, is we open 2 documents in Photoshop. You don't have to undock them if you don't want. I'll be able to see your tabs. Okay, to change the tool panels to a 2-column view. So over here, yours is probably in a single column view. Cameron and Pigman, where's yours, guys, is in the single column over here?
Yes.
Okay, so if you click on this very small double arrows over here, that'll change it to 2 columns.
Okay.
You can also, like, everything in Photoshop, you can dock and undock. So if I take and grab that top part of it, I can move this toolbar around if I wanted to move it into a different place. And to put it back, I just put it to the side of the screen, and you can see this blue bar kind of comes up, and that tells me that it's going to put it back. So that's number 2, is we changed it to a 2-column view. Now we want to undock the color panel. So this is what I was talking about, undocking things. So we can take our color. So do you guys both see the color panel up?
Yes.
Okay, so you can, if you have something like gradients or patterns up here, you would just click on the color. And then you're going to click and hold on the tab, like where it says color, and pull and drag it out. And that will make it what is called a floating panel. And then you can resize it if you want, make it smaller, larger. Okay. And then the final step for this is we're going to undock the swatches panel, and we're going to dock it to our color panel. So first we can undock our swatch. So we're going to do the same thing, grab our swatch and pull it out into the screen. And then I can take and drag that tab again underneath the color. And you can see it comes up with that blue bar. When we see that blue bar, I can let go. And now it's docked to color. So now when I move this up here, it moves color and swatches together at the same time. Did that work for both of you guys?
Yes, I got my color out, but now the other stuff has disappeared.
Okay. So like if I'd have to look at your screen to see why it's disappearing. But if you want to get anything back, you can always go up to the window.
Okay.
But as long as it's kind of like out here and like floating around, I would put it like kind of in the middle. So does your screen kind of, besides you have, so do you have everything kind of, let's see. Does it kind of look like that on your screen? Where over here you just have words?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, it doesn't have the words either.
it's just like that.
No, it has nothing on the side.
It has
'Cause
nothing on the side. Okay,
yeah.
that's weird. So I'd have to see why it's doing that. Yeah, I'd have to, so when you do the screen capture and I'll look at your, what you upload and I can see what it's looking like.
Okay.
Let's see if we can fix that.
Okay.
So here I'm just gonna do a screen capture. So I have everything that all the different parts. I have 2 documents that I can see, the 2 tabs. And if you take a screen capture, I'll be able to see that. I have changed my toolbar to 2 columns. And then I have undocked my color panel and my swatches panel and docked them together. So now I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Again, for Apple, Command-Shift-4, Windows is a little bit different. Or you want to take your screenshot for Windows. And then we can go back. To our slides presentation and replace our image with our screenshot. And here, if you want, you can label them. I should be able to see for those of you watching this recorded Zoom. Also for you guys that are just watching it live now, you don't have to go and label these if you don't want. And for some reason, it's not showing up my toolbars, which is very concerning. Okay. Make sure you can see everything. It looks like it wasn't putting everything in my screen. There we go. I'm just adjusting my picture so that you can see everything. So I'm back on number 4 here, and now I can see everything I have on my window. If I double click on the image, it'll show me the cropping that it has. So for some reason, you're only showing a little bit of your screenshot when you bring it in. You can double click and adjust the cropping in slides. Just by grabbing these outer kind of lines up here. So my 2 documents I have here. My double panel I have here. And then I have my color here. And I have my swatches here. All right, our last one is the Photoshop preferences. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. So preferences are up in our menu bar. And we are going to go to, let's see. I think it got moved in the newer version. It used to be under edit. So this is a good thing. If you can't find what you're looking for, which I found in the new version of Photoshop, is the search over here, which is like pretty cool. So let's say I couldn't find where the preferences were, which I can't right now because I think they moved it. I can go to this search, a magnifying glass for the search, and I'll just type in preferences. And what I want here is just general preferences. So it'll find it for me and bring it up. And also, I think trying to see if it'll show me where it is normally. Okay, so I could see that now I'm seeing that it's popping up over underneath Photoshop. So under Photoshop, I have settings. Okay, so this used to be under the edit menu. Under settings, Photoshop, I have preferences down here. Somewhere. General preferences. Sorry about that. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was a little confusing even to me.
Yeah.
I had the older version when I did this before, and now it has a new version. I did also when you guys are going through this, I try to mark where some things that the program or where the school's PLP is older, and where it won't look the same as the most current version of Photoshop. But Photoshop, depending, they're always updating, and since you guys, it's in the cloud, and your Photoshop will probably still like kind of always update itself. Anyway, so here's our preferences. You should have your preferences screen up here. So we are going to want to change our interface color theme to the black theme. So we're going to want to go down here to interface, and this is our appearance color theme. So you can see changing this. This is our traditional theme, which is kind of a dark gray. Here's black, all the way black. So we're going to want to click on that. And now we're going to take a screenshot of that because we're going to change a couple of things and we're going to have to switch between here. So I'm going to take a screenshot of that. And we can just stay. We don't have to click OK. We could, because we're going to move some other things. So we're going to want to ensure that tooltips are enabled. So we're going to go down to tools. And under options, our first one is show tooltips. So we're going to want to make sure that that's clicked. Tooltips is basically what you just saw pop up where it says determines whether to show tooltips or control and tools. So if you hover over something with tooltips, it'll just tell you like what that button does, what that tool does. Just kind of tells you if you're brand new, what things do. So we have that. That is B, and then we want to change the unit from for the rulers to centimeters. So we're going to go down to units and rulers here. And we're going to change this to centimeters. Oh, I should go back. So go back to your, we have the tooltips. So go back to the tooltips one, go to tools, and then take a screen capture of that one to save. And then finally go down again to the units and rulers and change that to centimeters. And then take a screen capture of that. All right, does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right, so then our final thing is we're just going to go back to our slides and we can put our slides in. So A is the interface to black. So I can see there my interface is that one there. Then B. Is going to be my tooltips, which I see right there, very small. And then C is lastly going to be my units. And if you want, you can make these bigger. So I can see there it says centimeters. So I have everything saved in here. For here, I can just hit OK. For this project, we kind of opened a bunch of new files and moved the settings around, so we don't necessarily need to save our documents. But when you do the projects in moving forward, they are mostly going to be working in one document. So you're going to want to save that. And that will help me if you're kind of like, if I mark it wrong or something, or you have a question, I can go into your document and see where your settings are and what you have worked on so far. So always, like, moving forward, save your documents. And I usually put we should save it as, just to kind of help out. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
All right, so the final thing you guys are going to do is go to your slides and go to File, and you can go to Download and go to download a PDF. And just save it however you want. And then in your school's PLP for that project, in that project assignment, just upload that PDF for me.